I think we live, baby. Day 32. Day 32. All right, y'all. Not gonna lie, we took a good amount of L's. Let me lock this in real quick. Let me check on this. Bitrate look good. Okay. Look pretty good. Okay. All right, so this is day 32 for the digital service agent. So we got to make some changes. So we realized a couple of things, right? So we've been running a couple ads for quite some time right now. So I'm going to pull up some stats real quick. All right, I'm gonna eat some yogurt because I got a little bit of a heartburn. So I gotta calm it down. Okay. Hey, YouTube, don't flag my song, bro. I need some vibes. All right, so as you know, okay, so we're gonna take a couple steps back actually, because the test we've been running, we learned a couple things, but so we got to make decisions, no buts. We learned a couple things and we got to make decisions. So we're gonna make hard choices and we're just gonna keep moving forward. There is no way otherwise, right? So we started this thing off by essentially just vibe coding a website building service, right? So you jump in, you punch some details by business, and it starts helping you build a website, but it's based on templates, and you are having natural language conversation with an AI, and it's taking that context. So essentially, we were using some cheap context, some cheap models to organize data, and then have a conversation with a person. When data in a conversation has finished and had been organized properly, we pass that off to a higher website, right? So that was like basic testing that we did. Long story short, that shit ain't working. There's not a ton of demand, so we try to measure demand, and there's not a ton of demand for a service like that. In the past, there was for the Venny world, and that's because the language was very specific. All right, I gotta turn this one off. They don't flag that song. Okay. All right, so right now, though, I guess the direction to go in right now would be doing things I'm passionate about, things I'm interested in, like as a person, as opposed to just building a cookie cutter type of solution. Now, it doesn't mean like you can't go use it. Like, I mean, you can go use it if you want, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton of demand. So right now, one of my things that I'm gonna push more into is doing just more real estate in Chicago. So that's gonna be like being a real estate agent. So I actually forgot I was a licensed agent for some time because I never really practiced officially. But I think this might be an opportunity for me to try doing that. So I might work with Redfin as well, like to do some like open houses and just a bunch of different things. Maybe work with buyers and sellers and explore more in the greater Chicago area, let's say. I also want to work with other like agents or contractors remodelers, people that are like actively building stuff, maybe help them document things and construct things like that fits more in my skill sets, right? So we'll figure that out as we go. But we essentially set up a new experiment where we were trying to see if folks would click into this, and we learned a couple things. Of course, there's general level of demand, but there's not strong demand either. It's not a huge signal that would make me kind of jump out of my seat, right? So let's go here. So okay, I'll just kind of scroll all the way to landing pages. So there, in the past we did run this, but this is more recent. But yeah, there's a general level of demand in real estate services, websites, web services, videography, photography, things like that, right? So let me actually jump into here, right? This is more specific. Okay, this is more specific. So this is the drone video, which is basically just this. It's just like this video that you just saw, or the landing page you saw, but in video format. So there's general level of clicks that we're seeing here. Folks are showing up. There's some level of demand, but it's not enough to make me jump out of my seat. The next one I would point out is, actually this actually did pretty well. Looking back at it, I did turn it off. Maybe I should turn that back on. Essentially, just trying to understand what the level of demand looks like for marketing and real estate, which is very high level, surface level. Now, we're gonna kind of like scrap a lot of these things because we're seeing a general surface level demand, but not enough to make it worth pursuing after, right? So we're trying to find a beachhead. We're trying to find a sweet spot of high enough demand, high enough return on investment of time. So one thing I'm going to take a look at is two things, actually, that I'm going to take a look at. The first would be home buyers, potentially like first home buyers. And I think I was probably going to narrow it down to just Illinois to begin with, because I could be very broad and like think about the 50 states, but one, I'm not licensed in 50 states. Two, the opportunity for me to collaborate across 50 states, at least right now, I can't really see what that might look like. It's possible. I mean, there are different types of things that might be available, like more in the digital realm. But I think the immediate opportunity, low-hanging fruit opportunity, is targeting people in the greater Chicago area and learning more about what they're looking for. And as a real estate agent myself, for example, if I were to find buyers and help them in the thinking process, right, I could potentially be their agent, right? So that there's an opportunity to progress that experience and not just have it be surface level web interaction, right? So there's room for more, right? So that's one potential opportunity. The second I'm looking at is license prep. So I remember when I was actually getting my license, you just basically have to go to like a digital school, like an online school, and do like 70 hours or something like that, where you're just like reading. You're reading and you're like going through quizzes, and the school program will give you like a certificate. But then at the end of the certificate, you have to actually go to your state and take a test. And at the time, I don't know if they require you to be in person. I don't think so, because we're in 2026. But you take a proctored online exam, and it's like an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is. You take this exam, and if you pass, you pass. You fail, you fail, right? And so I think the opportunity here is license prep. So this could be helping a person pass the exam. So it could be pre-exam or Well, actually, it would just be pre-exam, but it could be pre-course, during course, or pre-exam, where you finish your courses, you've passed your course, your course has given you a certificate, but now you're getting ready for the exam and you want to test questions, right? You want to do things. You want to like actually get prepared. And I actually did this, right? Like when I was before I got my license, after I finished my course, got my certificate, I was like, okay, let me go take some practice exams because maybe my school missed something, right? So there's that potential opportunity. So that's something I want to explore. I want to see if there's room in that space, if there's enough demand. But also real estate agency is a dying breed, so that's something to be concerned about. I think this year is the lowest amount of real estate sold in the past like 10 years, right? Like the market's slowing down, but then also that could mean that there's an opportunity for it to pick back up. Interest rates are the highest it's ever been in the past 10 years, probably. It's trending down, but of course, again, it's still high, right? So it doesn't really motivate buyers, right? There's not really an incentive to buy because the prices are high, inflation's high, and interest rates are high. So there's no incentive for anyone to make that decision. Okay, so it feels like a dying breed, but then we have all this, changes happening in the dynamics in the market. A lot of people are calling for a real estate agency to go away, and I get that. That makes a lot of sense because it feels like you just have a random middle person sometimes, right? It depends on the person, right, and the experience that you have. Some agents are super helpful. They go out of their way to do things. They help you with the inspections. Some real estate agents are just there because you are required by law to have a real estate agent if you're buying a property, right? Like you need, and not actually by law, by design of the framework of the market. So it's a monopoly. So if you ever heard of the MLS, it's the, I forget what it stands for. It's not the Major League Baseball, but the MLS is like a real estate monopoly. And what they do is, so MLS real estate, right? So it's whatever. The point is, what is it? Okay, let's see. Multiple listing service. Okay, whatever, right? MLS is like a platform, but what I actually mean is the real estate conglomerate, the monopoly, have created a market where they require a agent on both sides of the deal, a buyer and a seller agent. Why? Because they want to get a cut. And if you realize, if you look at any real estate transaction, there's tons of people in between the buyer and the seller. Okay, so we got the buyer and the seller, but in between the buyer and the seller, we've got buyer attorney, seller attorney. We've got the title company, right? We've got the inspectors that are going to do stuff. We've got just a ton. Are in between that transaction because one, it makes sense, right? It's one of the biggest transactions you're probably going to do, right? Let's say you're spending $500,000, right? The average house in the U.S. probably right now is between $300,000 and $500,000. So you're spending $500,000. You've got 5 people in between a transaction, and everyone wants a cut from the deal, essentially. And real estate agents have created this framework, the real estate conglomerate. They've created a framework where they require buyer and seller agent. And if you try to sell property and you go there, you're a buyer, like you're just a regular person trying to buy a house, and you go to see a house, you talk to a seller agent, they're going to ask you who's the buyer agent. They're going to ask you for an agent. Why? I don't know. Because they're trying to protect the conglomerate. They're trying to protect the monopoly, right? Because if there's no incentive to have a buyer agent, there's no incentive to have a seller agent. So it puts them out of a job. So they know that. I say they, I'm a real estate agent too, but I've never really practiced, right? But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because I think eventually, like, it is a dying breed, real estate agencies. A lot of people don't really like it because it feels that way, right? It feels like it's just like a random person that's taking 2.5% out of the deal because they just have to be there, right? And the only thing that person is really doing is nodding their head, yes, yes, no, no, right? It's like ultimately, as a buyer, you're the one making the decision whether or not you want to make the purchase, right? As a seller, same thing, right? Now, as a seller, it might be a little bit different. Okay, let me thinking from a seller perspective, it might be a little bit different because if you're a seller, right, you need marketing help, right? You might need a network of buyers that will help you out. So if you don't have that network, it might be valuable to have an agent seller that does have that network, right? That can get you that exposure, that can put it on the market, get their buddies, their friends, the whoever. But today we have Redfin, we have Zillow, right? So the need for agency is reducing. But anyway, I do think those two places are worth exploring. Home buying as a first time, I think, and also license prep. So I'm going to explore what I can do in that realm in terms of building services, right? And the first thing I'm going to try to do is measure demand. And actually in the past, I would just like build stuff. Like I'd build like a whole application, and then 3 months in, realize no one cares. No one's going to pay for this. Like all the time spent is not going to go anywhere. Like it's not going to be useful, right? So I think a different approach I'm going to try to stick to is starting by measuring demand. And once I've seen that there's a clear signal of demand, and not just demand from people raising their hand, right? Like if we go here and take a look, right? It's like we've got folks clicking stuff, right? So there are three different signals I think you could take a look at. Or I mean, there's many, right? So one is like clicking, right? Like if you run an ad and you have keywords in there, I need drone photos, like take drone photos of your house, and a person clicks the ad, right? That's one signal, click, right? That means there's a general level of interest. Now it's not a strong level of interest because like no one's really done anything. They just clicked it because they're interested. The second signal is like a person registers as a user or becomes a lead. And what this means is they provided some level of contact information that allows you to either create an account or associate that demand with an individual, a person, like a real person, right? So now it's not just a click, it's a person. You have an idea of who that person is, and beyond that, oh, my bit rate is cooked, yo. Oh wait, actually not that bad, but it's kind of dropping. But so the third signal you would have that's the strongest, in my opinion, is just the paying user, right? Like someone that's like, I clicked it, I thought it was interesting enough for me to register as a person and like let you know that this is me and this is my email, my phone number, this is my name. And then the third is like, hey, here's my credit card. That's the strongest signal, right? It's trust at that point, right? Like it's not just I'm interested, but it's I trust you to help me to achieve what I want, right? So okay, so those are three signals that we're gonna be looking for with this test that we're gonna run. So we're gonna run two tests in parallel, and we're gonna try to observe what exactly we learn. And from this test, it's not just gonna be surface level of trying to get these signals. We're also gonna try to understand each person in the market and what the level of demand looks like, right? So it's going to be an onboarding experience that's like questionary, right? So we're going to ask questions about who you are and what you're interested in, and that'll give us a better idea of, are you buying, are you renting, or not buying, renting? Are you dreaming, researching, actively looking, ready to offer, right? Like what stage are you at in buying experience? For this is for the homeowner experience or home buyer first time experience. Buyer type, right? Have you never owned before? Have you owned before? Did you rent before, right? Are you pre-approved? Do you have enough money saved up? Do you know what a closing cost is, right? Like, do you have emergency funds if you buy? Like, do you have money saved up, right? And this is not to push the person to like really like, like it's just to get an understanding of what's going on, but also educational, right? Like, so the next bit of this, I think I'm gonna try to push on a prompt here is like making this a little bit more educational. So it's a push and pull, right? So a person's coming because they're interested in learning something. They want to get something out of it. But then also we want to learn something out of it, right? So when they come, it's a push and pull. Hey, tell me something, and here's more information for you as well if you didn't know already, or if you haven't thought about these things already. These are things to think about. And I think at the end of it, we can walk away with like some level of artifact that's like, hey, here's a plan that you could use or you can refer to You don't have to do it right now or like, use it right now, but you could, I don't know, take a screenshot or share it. So maybe that's something else I work into this, which is like the shareability of it, the download of it. So, okay, here it says download your home buyer checklist, right? So, and schedule a consultation with Elijah. So that's the second level of what I think the opportunity here could look like, because I will be focused more on Illinois, Chicago, greater area. I am a licensed real estate agent, so I could potentially work with a person one-on-one. But that's not the core focus, right? The core focus is really to learn about the demand, measure the demand, but there is a funnel that could get to me and actually return value back to me as well, right? So that's the idea, that's the approach. We're going to take a step back from all of the web building stuff and just try to focus more on measuring demand, things that I'm already doing, things that I wouldn't necessarily say passionate about, but more so like invested in, have an expertise in, or have knowledge in, things that I could kind of share without costing myself too much upfront, without really understanding if there's demand, right? Like that's one thing I want to steer away from. I spent a year building a whole product and no one cared. Well, we had one person care for like 8 months and used it for 8 months. But right, like that's a huge upfront time investment with not enough demand. So we're gonna go about it the opposite way. Measure demand, and if there's enough demand that hits a certain threshold, then we're going to invest that time to meet the demand, right? So I'm not gonna make this one too long. It's been a while, so I wanted to jump in, say what's up, and let's see here what we got. We're at 21. Yeah, that's good enough, guys. If you have any questions, you want to chat, you know where to hit me up. So I'll chat with you soon. Peace.